Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Kadena Campfire. Wow, it's already community call number 10. Hard to believe. And we have a really good one for you today, as we have not only our one and only Randy here with us on stage, but the very one and only Sir Lensalot. So, Randy and Stuart, thanks so much for being here. Welcome back to Kadena Campfire.
Hi, great to be here.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's great to be
Well,
back.
we've certainly had both of your names as probably our top most requested folks, and to have you in one call here is going to be something. I hope the world is ready. In the meantime, we have a quick news update, and then we will jump into after the update and discussion, a live Q&A. We have some questions that were asked on Discord and Twitter, but as always, these campfires are meant to be very interactive. So just a huge what's up to the community. Some people have been here. Bendy, you were among the first in line here. We got some people that have been on YouTube for 40 minutes prior to the campfire starting. So love the devotion and energy, folks. Great to see everyone here. Always exciting when we get to engage with community, and really excited to have a live interactive conversation. So please feel free to throw comments, reacts, questions in the chat, and we will try to highlight and get to as many folks as we possibly can. All right. Well, I'm nearly caught up on the live up to date in terms of comments coming in live. So let's go ahead and jump into some updates. So first of all, there's been some pretty cool new blog posts and articles that Kadena has put out. So for those that ask when marketing, the future is now. Check this out. So first of all, we have Kadena Tech Bulletin number 2 was just released a couple of days ago. And so I won't go into all the details here, as you should all give it a read. But first of all, some of the highlights on the technical side from the last month is the release of the Wallet Connect specification. So this will be very helpful to those that build wallets, and then for users across the ecosystem, this will enable a standard way of signing to the API and allow for, I think, a more robust experience across the ecosystem, especially as folks start building more and more complicated user experiences with more features. So that's very, very exciting. Secondly, the Charka lending protocol, inspired by Compound Finance, was open source and released on GitHub. And this is, I think, remarkable because not only is it a full lending platform, but the code is incredibly well commented and explained. And so you should definitely come check this out. Really good way to become an advanced Pact programmer, to go through this lending protocol repo. And even if you are interested in this as a DeFi space, you have a great base to work off of and explore as a foundation for how to architect and build more complex Pact applications. And then finally, super exciting, the first 40 invites for those that can get early access to the learning platform have gone out. And so the learning platform, of course, has been a big initiative of Randy's, and we're really excited to hear the community's reaction and feedback, and get that towards a smooth release for the entire community. So I think these are some really amazing updates that are going to help bring Kadena to the next level, help bring back to the masses. And so exciting to see what the community does with that. We also have, let's see here. One other announcement that I will highlight, again, very focused on the builders here, is there's now language server support for Pact. So for developers that use VS Code and other IDEs, I think even Vim and Emacs have good support for language server protocols, NeoVim. This is a wonderful feature that helps make it easier to program in Pact in your favorite IDE by providing language-specific services like code completion and error correction while you're programming live. So this is part of the effort to bring Kadena's developer tooling to the next level. So you'll see this theme here that Kadena and Pact are getting more and more friendly to builders by the day. And so now, instead of using Atom, which of course was a beautiful editor for its time, but somewhat Sunset. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Summit Sunset by GitHub. Now supporting a new suite of IDEs through the language server protocol. So if that didn't mean anything to you, the takeaway is that there's new tooling that'll make it easier for developers to make Pact, which should ultimately help people build faster and ship better. If that means something to you, even better, download VS Code or integrate a language server protocol in your integrate Pact's LSP in your favorite IDE and level up your programming game. So that's a couple high-level updates. I wanted to also turn it over to Randy, as I know he's been super busy, to add any additional flavor or updates that you want to bring to everyone's attention.
Yeah, the developer experience team is very busy creating a lot of new tooling. I think that one of the main features we're currently working on is the final version of Marmalade. As we all know it, the current version is kind of still in alpha beta. But we're actually making a lot of progress we're going to have a manifest updates. We're going to improve the market flow and lots of more stuff coming up there. I will not spoil everything, but with the release of this of Marmalade, we will create the appropriate docs and tutorials with those as well. We're currently also working on the docs website. So we just created a whole new design for the docs website. We just did the first setup, and we created a component library to actually get all our apps have the same sort of feeling, give you the same sort of Kadena movement. So that's something we were busy with. The learning platform, like you just said, we already sent out 60 invites. So we did 20 more last week. And I think one of the best things that's coming up, 5th of May, Davey is going to do the first workshop on the platform. So that's going to be really exciting as well. So hopefully, all 80 developers who have an invite can join in. It's still a proof of concept. So, and if all goes well, we will open it up for the entire community. So everybody can start learning Pact and build awesome. That's basically it. We also hired our first developer relations, Glenn. Very excited for him to join. He's already doing lots of work by writing blog posts and stuff like that. So that's really great. Hopefully another developer relations will join us in June. And we're also working hard on Kadena Yes, server-side events, chain web stream client. What we're working on is going really well. And on the innovation part, we're working on lots of cool stuff. And I think we're going to address that later on, maybe as well. Basically, the whole team, we are hiring like crazy. So I think the team grew with 4 people for new addition this last month, and 8 will start the 1st of May. So that's very, very exciting.
Awesome. And of course, always want to give some floor space to Stu. Stuart, in case you have anything you want to say before we jump into the live Q&A, I want to give you the floor.
Sure. Well, the main thing is, underscoring what Randy's been doing in terms of growing his team. That's been happening across the organization, including bringing on our first recruiter into the ops organization. So growth is happening all over. We're hiring in pretty much everything you can think of, but we also brought on, as Tyler knows, we brought on some really exciting new people onto our biz dev team. Nick is one that I think that you guys will be seeing a lot of, because as he's focused on the DeFi vertical. But I'm sure I'm forgetting names, so I'll just leave it there with naming names so I don't offend too many people. More BD people than that. Also, the operations team that kind of makes everything happen under our very capable COO, Anastasia Bez, is growing as well to make sure that all everything stays on the rails while we try to do this very complex operation that's called Kadena. And finally, the Pact team itself and the Chainweb team have grown. We have new developers coming in working on formal verification, as well as on the Chainweb team, people coming in to work on very important kind of long-term goals we have, such as being able to shrink the size of disk images of all the data that's in the blockchain, so that it makes it easier for node operators to run these things on a single computer. And really, and then, you know, some very exciting work that is slowly coming out that you'll start hearing more about, that may or may not have something to do with a layer 2 on Kadena as well as Ethereum. So that's a little teaser for you. So lots of really exciting things happening. Lots of development in terms of also getting the word out about, you know, what our overall vision as a company is, and, you know, not just why our products are better, but, you know, what we believe in as Kadena, and, you know, and something that we think will bring people together as we kind of, you know, charge into the future and try to, you know, make technology work for us and not make it that we work for technology.
Amazing. The only thing I have to add is I just want to highlight the amazing swag that we all got on here. Look at the diversity of Kadena swag that's going on, and there's actually a swag bag giveaway here that'll be happening during the live stream at some point. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, Randy, Stuart, those are amazing updates. I think it's kind of amazing as we've been doing this 10-week series now of community calls, that it seems going into 2023 that Kadena is just picking up so much steam, and there's so much building happening, so much development, and so much activity that's going to really power, I think, this next growth of the ecosystem. And of course, today we're going to talk a bit about some of those use cases and some of those prospective possibilities in terms of what Pact can power. Before we do that, I have the last section of our update now transitioning perfectly into live Q&A by a very well-timed question from Dabatola. Meeting in Austin. Yes, the Kadena team will be at Consensus in Austin, and there is, in fact, a community meetup that we are hosting that has actually been answered by the same question answer. So thanks for just being a full-on plant here. I don't know if we're paying you or what, but better have coffee on 426 on April 26th at 10 a.m. This is indeed the meetup. So I think we'll hopefully get a link posted here in a sec, and I'll try and bring that up onto the stream. There we go. Look at that magic. Meetup.com, Kadena events, and that number. We'll leave that there for a second in case people need to type whatever. But yes, very excited for that meetup, and it'll be a great gathering. A lot of folks from Kadena will be there, and looking forward to see anyone at community around Austin. Hopefully we'll be able to see you all in person. With that, we are going to jump straight into the live Q&A. So there's a couple questions that were asked on Discord that we'll bring up first, and please post questions or comments in the chat as well, whether you're watching on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Post wherever you may be watching, and we'll be sure to highlight questions and make this as interactive as possible. So first question I want to take from Discord is from Jad, and the question goes: currently there are very few dApps taking advantage of multi-chain transactions, going, quote, chain agnostic. Are there any plans to try and improve the approachability of programming and implementing multi-chain applications?
Well, at the moment, there are a lot of apps, dApps that are already implementing chain agnostic stuff. So it's not on our main agenda at the moment. I think Lynx did a pretty nice job of creating a chain agnostic wallet. The main focus now, what we are working on at Kadena, is DL2, which Stuart just mentioned, which is more like a side chain. And some other stuff as well. I saw some questions about an L2 for Ethereum, stuff like that as well. But those are the main. That's the main focus for us now, and not so much focusing on going chain agnostic.
One thing, though, to note there is that this is where the learning platform and a lot of our resources for learning how to use Pact better come in, because the tools are actually all there for apps to be chain agnostic, because chain agnostic is really just a user experience metaphor. It's not something that actually it's something that's always been possible with Kadena, and indeed one of the biggest advances we made towards that was a feature called nested Dev Packs that rolled out last year. The idea being that right now apps are designed around kind of, actually moving a coin from one chain to another. But this is something that applications can, easily abstract for users to make it that they're not aware of such things. And what's more, you can even do you could even have something like lending pools or, decentralized exchange pairs happening on multiple chains, and nobody would know any better, because you could have things where the cross-chain application, when it moves funds from one chain to another, it actually is able to not just move the funds, but also fund a liquidity pool, do all these kinds of things with nested Dev Packs that make the whole thing a seamless operation. Finally, the thing is that the reason why the layer 2 part of this is important as well is that is an important piece for having the final experience, because being chain agnostic is all well and good, but as long as you're operating on our decentralized proof of work scalable layer 1, you're really operating at a settlement layer level. So once the layer 2 picture once you start seeing some of the apps that will be coming out for our layer 2, you'll start seeing how the experience of fast finality and the kind of experience of like seeing your transactions happen in real time and have them be settling to a far more scalable platform, it'll all come together, because as you look at the layer 2 landscape, what you're starting to see is that the high fees on a platform like Ethereum are starting to hurt layer 2s as well. And that's something where, you just can't get around the fact that it's important to have a scalable base layer and even a scalable layer 2. And most importantly, a language technology that lets you go back and forth between these without having to sacrifice any security, without having to change anything at all. And indeed, that's part of the experience that we're going to be bringing to an Ethereum layer 2 as well, is the idea that, people get used to in environments like Ethereum settling for less. And at Kadena, we're not happy with that. At Kadena, we want to bring an experience where you don't even know you're on a crypto platform, because it's that smooth, it's that easy to work with, and it really comes to you. You don't have to think about all these underlying details. You just, you come there because there's an app that does something, and there's a community you want to engage with. There's, somebody offering assets that, gives you a different kind of value. That's why you're there. You're not there because of this feature of a particular crypto platform. You're there because it's simply a better experience.
Right on. Thanks for that, Stuart. One small piece I wanted to highlight and jump into was Dev Pact. So that's something you haven't talked about too much on the stream, but for those that aren't aware, Dev Pact is a core functionality of the Pact programming language that powers, among other things, the cross bridge, or rather the cross-chain transactions in the two pieces. And the Dev Pact feature is actually so powerful that it lends its name to Pact, the programming language itself. So yeah, I think just want to highlight that for those that are transitioning from knowing a lot about Kadena and now starting to do more of a technical dive. There's a lot to dig into, and we'll have some more technical focused talks in the future as well. All right, we got a few more questions to jump to. Actually wanted to highlight Demorgus Holdings. Haven't met you, don't know anything about you, but we exchanged some messages on Twitter, and always super excited when builders are moving to Kadena from other ecosystems that have some experience building. So excited to see what you can build. And of course, feel free to ping me if I can be helpful in any way. Awesome stuff. All right. So from Soflex, also I believe from Discord, regulations will come sooner or later. Does the team see it as an obstacle or a nuisance when planning the future of Kadena?
No. We've always operated from a stance that regulation is not is not even a necessary evil, but it's that it's an inescapable feature of any kind of marketplace involving assets. So, this is a reason why we're always very focused on the functionality that we're giving people and the kind of transformative experiences that people are able to create. And the fact that we offer the safest platform for managing assets and digital value. So, our goal is to make it easier to work with digital value and easier for you to design something new that changes the world, that changes how people think about, experiences on the web, experiences in crypto, experience with assets, experience with art, and to make it fair and make it something that, that makes it basically impossible for a rug to get pulled on you, or at least for you to be able to calculate the kind of risks you want to take. So that's something that makes us, a little different in crypto, is that we've really focused on the promise of crypto to really change the way people think about how they interact with, value and the internet itself. So that's something that we don't see that as having any tension with regulation. Having said that, it's a concerning time. And I think, the kind of lack of clarity surrounding, what's guiding some of these enforcement actions continues to be a problem. And it's the kind of thing where, we join the call for clear guidance and for all the regulatory agencies to provide clear guidance so that people know how to move forward. Because in the absence of that, it is something that I think harms business in the crypto space, and especially people who are wanting to innovate in the realm of digital value.
We're going to go ahead and take one more question from Discord, and then we're going to jump forward to some of the live questions that have been streaming in. From Morgs, on the NFT Marmalade standard, is there currently a way to transfer between your own wallets, say from a hot purchase wallet to a cold storage wallet, without paying royalties?
Well, I think most projects, they are in charge of like what they turn on and what they turn off. And if they like turn royalties on, well, when you transfer your NFT to another address, yeah, you have to pay royalties. I know it's an issue for a lot of chains at the moment. If you are the owner of one NFT and you want to transfer to another address which you own as well, that you pay royalties. But that's just the way it's currently been built.
Yeah, thinking out loud here, Randy, would it be possible to transfer to an account that had, like a predicate any with two keys on it, one that was hot, one that was cold, and then rotate the keys so that only the cold wallet can control the account?
That would be, yeah. So that's one of we're currently looking into solutions for this, is indeed, and this was actually one of the things we're currently looking into as well, to see how we can actually help or leverage the features of Pact, because the multisig part is really, really nice in this case.
Yeah, because on some level, you don't want to allow someone to be like, oh, I swear this is my account, that's my cold wallet, and really, you're selling it, and who's going to verify if it's a cold wallet or a hot wallet? But yeah, I think Pact obviously and your Chainweb have some foundational features like these different key guards and ability to rotate keys and such that are at the protocol layer that seems like if any chain is going to figure out a good solution to this, it'd be us.
For sure.
Well, one thing you can do right now is you can, right now, certain marketplaces only allow custody with a K-colon account. And, to a certain extent, that makes a lot of sense for, just simplicity of ownership. And, but, we do have other principles. These are called Pact principles, and K-colon is just one of them. There's also R-colon, which refers to a key set that's stored in a central registry. And the idea there is that when you own something with an R-colon, then you can rotate that. However, there's a trade-off there, right? Now you basically have a way to do kind of a transfer behind the scenes, because all you have to do is rotate that key set. and you made a transfer. So it's the kind of thing that, you know, I think different marketplaces can innovate in terms of how they engage with a buyer who comes in that is using an R colon and, you know, by the way, there are Pact natives to, you know, to tell you what kind of principal you're dealing with. So you can easily determine as a builder if somebody is coming in with something other than a K colon, and you know, and kind of act accordingly in the sense that you know, you might decide that that's something where you want to be able to, you know, that a certain kind of product you want to be able to offer rotation, and other products you don't. So I think, you know, there's a lot of room for innovate. There's the tools support an endless variety of ways. It's like you're saying, and we have the platform that can offer not just one, but many solutions for this. But one thing I think people are a little less aware of is the fact that there are more principles than just K colon. And those are very powerful in terms of extending new ownership models.
Perfect. Thank you both for that color and explanation. I'm going to bring up a question that's probably directed towards me and I don't have an answer for, but I think it's an interesting question and point. Is there a way to volunteer for Kadena similar to Binance Angels? I've heard of Charlie's Angels, but Binance Angels is new to me. Yeah, I think interesting idea. I'll do a little bit of homework and look into Binance Angels and learn what that's about, and try and understand.
I mean, there's
if
of
something.
course our ambassadors. You know, there's getting involved with our community. That's one of the most powerful ways to get further involved. Is you know, get in contact with Space Jeff or Matteo, all the people who help keep our community going, because we're always needing more help there, and it's always the kind of thing where more people who know how to tell the story of Kadena only helps.
Perfect. So talk to Space Jeff or Matteo. Let's see here from Rob Morrison. You guys have talked about a new website. When do you expect this to ship?
Yes, that's one of the things we're currently working on as well. We're still in the exploration phase with several possibilities. I will not say the website will be there next month, for sure not. But we are looking at hopefully somewhere around November. Depends on what we're gonna first bring out. Because yeah, the website was one of the things I would love to get my hands on as well. Well, we finally started working on that. So I'm very excited on that part. It's going to be fun.
Randy's speaking as the person who's actually going to bring this to you, so of course I'm not going to accept it taking till next November. So however, I'm not going to sell Randy out and say it's going to be out next week. So you know, this is the kind of internal tension. This is why Kadena makes quality products, is because we have engineers who are willing to say no to management.
And because some of management happens to be engineers.
No, I'm not.
No longer, huh?
I'm a CEO. I'm not a programmer. Am I program? Did I program anything? No, I did.
All right, we got a question from Trias GM, I guess more towards Randy. How's it going with those 40 invited new devs, referring to the learning platform? Any new projects on the way? I think that's a question for those devs.
Yes, it's a good question for those devs. I think the devs that were invited, they are currently helping us finding all the issues where all the bugs basically in the platform. We're going to do a whole new redesign for the learning platform, and a lot of new. We're going to build a lot of new features. Like lately, we built basically in browser IDE, which can maybe also become part of our future, how we're going to build Pact smart contracts by just creating our own IDE, and with one click on the button, deploy your smart contract to all 20 or maybe at that time 50 chains or whatsoever. But the first the ability to be able to write code in a browser and get it checked right away is really great. And the fun part, those 40 devs, they're now testing all, and we see a lot of ways how people interact with our code or our tooling we provide, and we can adjust our code by the way they interact with it. So basically, we're learning from how people are working with our tooling, and so that's also a way for us to improve on that part as well. So those 40 who are now 60 are doing a great job on helping us out, and I would love that the developers that are invited also come over to Discord and tell us what they're missing, and what they would like to have on the learning platform as well.
Perfect. An old school question: why Blake 2S hashing algorithm? From Mikhail Gabriel Bika. Why not use an algorithm that is also useful for humanity, like the Burroughs wheel transform?
I don't think either of us are the best people to discuss this particular. It's more like a will question.
No.
But what I will say is there is a large school of debate surrounding proof of work algorithms that has to do with whether or not they can do useful work. Smarter people than me, such as the Chia lead developer, Bram, have basically said, affirmatively that because when you get into the proof of space, proof of space and time, which is Chia and some other, I forget the other platforms that were doing that, but Filecoin being kind of, a very different spot in that space. Filecoin wants to say that you can do useful work. Chia says that you can't, that as soon as you introduce some concept of directed work, that you no longer have a random algorithm. And as soon as you move away from a random algorithm, you move towards things that are gameable, because you can choose the kind of work you want to do in order to influence the algorithm. So in general, we're very conservative about how we approach things like consensus. Obviously, because proof of work is a contentious choice. It's not something that it has its own costs. It's got its own trade-offs. But we're a bit maxi in the sense that we think that the main thing that you get out of something like proof of work is an inclusive consensus that is the fairest thing out there. So until some one of the things in crypto, in crypto, there's, this temptation to want to go with new algorithms and go with new inventions in crypto. But, for decades in cryptography, it was the attitude was really the opposite. And even if you look at the Satoshi white paper, he was strictly using technology that was at least 10 years old at the time he wrote it. And there's a very good reason for that when you're doing things in cryptography, because one of the main concerns is safety and making sure you're doing something that can't be subverted by malicious actors. So conservatism is the order of the day when it comes to things like consensus. And it's something that we would only change when the evidence becomes overwhelming that a particular approach has merit. And generally, when you're talking about new crypto, this happens on the order of decades, not on the order of years.
Awesome. Yeah. Interesting question. I had no idea what the Burroughs wheel transform was, so I looked it up real quickly. I guess it's Burroughs Wheeler transform. I guess it's a clever way of taking a string and using some deterministic algorithm to rearrange it so that you can basically come up with a shorter string. And so that's one of the foundational ideas in certain forms of compression. So, hey, always cool when someone asks a question, you learn something new. So thanks for that. And I think another aspect of the Blake 2S, I think this has been addressed on some previous campfires, but it is kind of important that you, especially when launching a blockchain, that you want to have some resilience and resistance to, say, a 51% attack. So if you imagine you have a GPU mineable coin and there's a freaking million GPUs out there that people are using for mining other blockchains or building large language models or something, then you can go on AWS and rent a ton of GPUs and you can go attack a blockchain pretty easily. versus if you're using a hashing algorithm where you're the top dog, like Kadena for Blake 2S, then there's no ASIC miners that can mine Blake 2S that aren't already employed mining the Kadena ecosystem, more or less, because it's too profitable to have them sitting around idle and renting out. So provides additional security in that way. But yeah, thanks for the question.
It's important to note that we did kind of just get lucky too, in the sense that not only were we the only people with our particular flavor of Blake 2S, but there were multi proof of work algorithms that had it, but there was no miner that could work with ours. A lot of the market dropped out for proof of work, so you don't have other people coming out with a compatible Blake 2S. So, and even if they did, they would never catch up to our hash rate. So we represent a kind of successful go-to-market of a kind of classic hashing algorithm, and it's something that people thought was almost impossible to pull off circa 2016. But the market has changed, and it's providing a huge amount of security to the Kadena blockchain today. So I can't say we're unhappy with it.
Right on. Let's see here. Question from Rika Volgaya. Do we have a plan of institutional adoption? Some business solutions?
I would love to see that a couple of businesses would build something on our chain. And I think we will also be looking for businesses to start building on our chain. I think last like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Talking to some business. Maybe.
Indeed. I had a great example. Like 4 weeks ago, we went to Miami to sit down and talk about the future of Kadena, and I had to book my flight. And so I booked my flight at one airline company, but the actual flight was executed by a different airline company. So I wanted to upgrade my seat, but I couldn't do it because, well, my ticket was basically in the other database of the other airline company. So I had to create a new account, move over my passport stuff, my booking number, and after I've done that, I could update my seat. If my ticket was being posted on a blockchain, a public blockchain like Kadena, where I can just via smart contract update my seat, then it wouldn't matter in what kind of app I was using, the app of the first airline company, the second, even the third, even just by interacting directly with the smart contract. I'm the owner of the ticket. So it would have been great if I just could have updated my seat. So stuff like that, I really see companies. I would love to see companies, instead of giving paying money to, for instance, like an AWS or a Google Cloud, let them build something on Kadena where they can just have a gas station, and the gas station is basically the money they pay to provide a service for their users, and that's what we are currently looking for as well. Companies who are willing to do that, and there are like tons of ideas. I saw a lot of ideas coming over on Twitter as well, but there's tons of ideas of companies who can build something like this and actually profit from it. Make it a better user experience. I think that's the main key here. Have a better user experience for the user.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, because I think it speaks to some deeper history of Kadena itself. As most of the folks here know, Will and I came out of JP Morgan with a blockchain with the Burroughs technology and the Pact smart contract language, with the idea that this would be something that would offer a superior solution for so-called enterprise blockchain. And we largely moved away from that over time. But at the time, we had our revenue sources were actually developing applications in insurance, and both health insurance and commercial reinsurance, even things like weather futures for crops. There was a bunch of really exciting use cases in private blockchain that ultimately didn't take off. just in the sense that enterprise blockchain itself didn't. And Kadena, after the launch of the Kadena public blockchain, really became more of a crypto native. We kind of learned to love public blockchain and the vibrant communities, and recognize that all the real innovation in blockchain technology was happening in the crypto space and not happening in the enterprise space. But I think what Randy's talking about is that now that we're offering this kind of far more mature and and truly scalable offering in public blockchain, it kind of gives us the opportunity to turn that narrative around and start going to businesses and saying, hey, this is a different kind of infrastructure. This is something where you can actually get involved in how you provide services to people, indeed, how you even pay for those services being offered. Because the concept of gas station is so powerful. It doesn't just have to be something where obviously the most important use case for a gas station is for an application to make it that users don't have to think about crypto when they're onboarding. They just come on, everything works. That's how it should be, right? And that's what gas stations offer today, and are in use all over the Kadena blockchain towards that exact end, and will be in use on the layer 2 towards that exact end too. It's the fact that it's itself a decentralized technology. So there's a lot more that can be done in terms of engaging your community, in terms of like figuring out where some of these costs are going, and if other projects can work with you in terms of like launching a gas token or something that actually allows certain use cases, that are more, that have kind of more bandwidth for, a slower transaction to maybe pay less for gas than, people who have a, kind of a larger consistent demand. And there's even, there's a lot of opportunities in there for innovative companies to work with this notion of decentralized infrastructure. So that's, so I think this is something that we're going to be talking about a lot more. And as well as we start talking about how Pact can be used in different environments as well, and the way that all of these things can start working with each other. Pact is the first multi-chain smart contract language because of Chainweb. Chainweb is a multi-chain environment, so that's the exact same technology it's going to take us to layer 2. That's the exact same technology it's going to take us to Web 2.0 and even to embedded. So this is something that in close work with our dev experience team, but also with our biz dev team, we're going to start telling new stories, and you're going to start seeing businesses thinking differently about how you can use both normal kind of Web 2.0 private infrastructure and, so-called Web 3 public infrastructure.
Right on. See some appreciation in the chat from DCF for both Randy churning out the dev kits and tutorials, and Mr. Popejoy as well. So yeah, a lot of appreciation for both of you being here. We still have a few minutes left, and I want to make sure we have time to get to at least 1 or 2 more questions. But first, I want to make space for the giveaway winners. So for those that are out of the loop, we had a competition to come up with some thoughts and ideas for how Pact might be used. And we have 8 finalists that I'm going to bring up on screen here. And then by some process that we're going to figure out live, Randy, Stuart, and I are going to pick the 5 winners. So in the fair order of however I have the suggestions presented in front of me, we're going to go through them one by one. First from K Independent Hip Tosser, absolutely fantastic name. Utilize blockchain for healthcare and energy industries with NFT-based identification. Employ Pact to onboard Web 2 and Web 3 developers for global impact. All right. Not hurting for ambition and scale. Love that. By the way, Stuart and Randy, if you guys want to, I think you might be able to see the list under the banners tab. You go to banners and then Campfire 10 giveaway winners. You might be able to see them in case they're not in memory. Anyhow, up next from Mosh1NA. Host secure elections on KDA Proof of Work Network. Use gas stations for fee payment. Enable smart cities and cost-efficient medical record maintenance. Cool. Very cool. Stuck in the future. best use case for Pact is subscription services like Spotify, Amazon, etc. Both login and payment contracts are stored on chain. Yep, right on. From Morgan Bark. Implement a blockchain-based proof of identity system for qualifications and portfolios, combating AI-assisted identity theft. Enable anonymity if needed. All right, it's getting kind of towards the soul-bound tokens. K. Bisaki. Leverage Kadena for transparent public transportation. Fast, secure NFT-based tickets with verifiable transactions on the public network. Very interesting. There's an interesting theme of sort of these civil services that's coming through. Pretty interesting to think about. From Wave Rider, Kadena's blockchain and Pact language enhance supply chain industry, delivering substantial benefits to businesses and consumers. All right. Yeah, kind of some immutable records-esque type of stuff going on there.
It's going to be a hard choice.
I know. Kadena UK. Kadena's user-friendly blockchain enables seamless business transactions, attracting companies with features like recurring subscriptions / payments. Very nice. So the payments and recurring subscriptions is another theme here. And finally, our last of the 8 finalists is Dongku Khan. Kadena blockchain suits secure contract and business-to-business solutions, enabling fee-free, agentless real estate transactions via a dedicated platform. I do like the idea of an agentless real estate transaction. That would be quite lovely. All right, folks. Any immediately pop out as you're like, this one has to be a finalist? Otherwise, I think we have some hard choices ahead of us.
Yeah. So one thing I'd like to see is indeed, I think Kadena can change the world, and I think the first one that really spoke to me.
Was that from K Independent Hip Tosser? Is this the one?
Yes.
All right, we have our first finalist, K Independent Hip Tosser. Congratulations. You will be receiving a swag bag. We have 4 more to pick. I'll just briefly flow through them here.
What are your thoughts, Stuart?
Yeah, so I'm just we're working on our kind of organization here. The one that really spoke to me is this one. This is this is something that, like, again, this idea of like really using this idea that like we have infrastructure available that the world can use to kind of bring public goods to a public. Like that's something. Also, I think what's nice about that is that it's local, in the sense that not everything needs to go global. It's not like it's not like we need another Uber, right? Like a local transportation serves a city. It's not something that needs to take over the rest of the world. It's something that that with the right kind of infrastructure and the right kind of technology can make it easy for people to make it easier for people to use that system, and it really dramatically changes life for real people, and not just make a bunch of money for some global organization. So I think that one really excites me. Another one is
so congratulations, K Bisaki. You are also a winner of a swag bag.
Congrats.
I liked, also I think the Machina's, the immutable, trustworthy elections. That's always one that I'm waiting to see. That's clearly one that we wouldn't be bringing to market. That's the kind of thing where we're looking to you, the builders, to bring these kinds of dynamic use cases. That's the whole point of decentralization, is that, we're not the people who make these decisions. So that's something that's definitely super exciting.
Yeah. I also like the supply chain industry one. I mean, if you buy chocolate, you actually know like the farmers got like a fair price for the beans they harvested. But supply chain can be done in like can be, supply chain stuff can be created for a lot of stuff. Like for instance, tracking my suitcase, what city it is in, stuff like that. So and I think with Kadena technology, you can build great apps for that.
Terrific. So I think we now are up to 4, if my count is correctly. So congratulations, Mashina, and congratulations, Wave Rider. And now I think we only have one more swag bag to give away. And it comes down to, we have, I believe, Stuck in the Future, Morgan Bark, Kadena UK, and Dongu Khan.
I think I like the identity one. What do you think, Randy?
Yeah, I like the identity one as well, especially with zero knowledge stuff that we played around with as well.
Yeah, and that's something we're really, one of the things that we're also, I think one of the things I'm really appreciative to our community is how they understand that we don't rush into things. Quite the opposite. I think some people probably wished we rushed into things a little more, but ZK is one of those. We do have new ZK natives in Pact, but it's one of the things that we're looking very closely at, especially with respect to layer 2 technology. And this is something where the landscape is still shifting a lot, but it has a lot to offer in terms of offering a truly decentralized way for a layer 2 to extend the security of the base chain that it's on. And when you look at something like Ethereum, they're finding that because of the limitations that are endemic to that platform, they can't even have ZK be on layer 2. So they're talking about like layer 3 solutions just for ZK. We're going to be able to do a lot better than that. So, zero knowledge, for anonymity, but also just for security. Identity system, I think, is also good when you're talking about like sharing less as opposed to sharing more. Like the idea of, I think that's some of the stuff, Soulborn and all that kind of stuff. So this is stuff that we're definitely excited to see reach its true potential on the Kadena blockchain.
Right on. So we are coming up towards, I think we're over time, but
by the way, all the
stay on
other
for...
ones are great too. It's always rough to do this kind of thing because, every single suggestion was actually really awesome. So
yeah.
So yeah, congratulations to all the 8 finalists. Those are all amazing suggestions, and we had to pick 5. So those 5 swag bag winners, hope you get to your merch and get to rep that around. But thank you everyone for submitting submissions. It was really hard to whittle it down to 8, and even harder to go to 5, as you just saw. I now see that since I have last checked the live chat, we have basically doubled the number of comments and questions. So I regret that we won't be able to get to everyone. But I will say that if you want to get your question answered, we definitely skew early in terms of answering the questions that are asked early in the session. So showing up at the beginning, showing up on time, maximize your chances of getting there, and helps us boost the algorithm so that we get even more viewers next time and spread the good gospel of Kadena. I did want to get to one question, which was a follow-up for Randy, which is from Action Crypto. Randy, cute story about your flight, but that means these companies would have had to have multiple integrations, meaning you need interoperability. Any reactions?
I actually know like a lot of these airline companies already use like a centralized system called Amadeus. But the thing is, it's centralized, and you, as a consumer, you don't have insights in like the actual system. And on a blockchain, it would be very nice if companies like that would integrate with the public blockchain. And if you buy a ticket on a public ledger, every company can actually access it if they get the appropriate access keys and stuff like that. So that's what makes a public ledger great, I would say. And that's what I think lots more companies would need to buy need to build something on a public ledger.
I would say something even stronger, since Kadena has deep background in the enterprise blockchain space and saw, for anybody who was around in circa 2016, 2017, there were companies getting funded to the tune of $600 million to do enterprise blockchain. We're the only one left standing because we're the ones who actually made a transition to public blockchain. But one of the things that's very powerful there is that, specifically talking about, one of the things that enterprise blockchain failed is that they wanted to take on these centralized utilities, such as the shared system for booking tickets that Randy's referring to. There are other examples of this, the SWIFT payment system for international banking. And the enterprise blockchain was taking direct aim at those and saying, why do we have these inefficient centralized services? The problem was they couldn't articulate something better with private blockchain, because you're basically just, at the end of the day, standing up a different kind of centralized service. You actually need decentralization to break the logjam here. So, I mean, it's a good point that these things don't build themselves, that integrations have to happen. I will point out that Pact, that the Kadena technology and Pact have APIs that make a lot more sense to non-crypto developers than something like Ethereum. So in the sense that, like, accessing new markets, talking about APIs, talking about like how you actually like get ETL how you're out to have a fire hose of data coming out of your blockchain as well as how it goes in. All these kinds of things make a big difference when you're approaching industries and saying, because they're going to ask those kinds of questions, like, how exactly is this integration going to happen? We've got a better story than most.
Yeah, and what I like most about, you write your business logic in Pact. So the business logic for instance, taking that example for booking a flight is already created, and you can even share the integration part, like the front end code that you built on top of it. You can share that with the other companies as well. You can make it open source, so you can actually share a lot of this code with other companies, and that's what I think makes this even better.
Right on, right on. So I'm just trying to catch up a little bit with some of the comments that have filtered in over the past few minutes, but we are towards the end of our session here today. So I want to just thank everyone so much for tuning in and for the great engagement, questions, and coming up with all sorts of interesting comments and questions. Minor extractable value, layer 2, zero knowledge. That's my 3-phrase answer to that interesting point. But there's so much more to discuss. I think we could probably go on for another 8 hours. And maybe one day we'll just have to have a marathon session where we just keep building steam and see how many folks we can build up. That could be kind of fun. But I just want to thank everyone in the community so much for the engagement, for everyone that engaged on Twitter and the competition. And it's for all the in-jokes that people are inserting into these comments. It's really amazing to be part of this Kadena community, part of this Kadena army. And we're so lucky to have leaders like Sir Lancelot and Randy at the helm, leading us into this new frontier of blockchain, of crypto, of Pact, of layer 2s, and of learning, and so many more exciting good things to come. So until we get everyone back on again, just want to thank Randy and Stuart so much for joining us here today. It's been a delight to have you.
It was really nice, really fun.
Yeah, Tyler, these campfires are the best.
Right on. Well, I think the community feels that way too, as the comments are still streaming in here, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to catch up because they're outpacing my ability to show them. All right, folks. Can't wait to catch you in the next campfire. Until then, be well, enjoy your week, and catch you at Campfire Community Call number 11, which I believe may happen after consensus. So just check Twitter. We'll keep you posted. Be well, folks.
Thanks, everyone.